This is the game plan. Let's go. When the team's on the air, you better know that it's over. These dudes colder than wintertime, grab a pullover. And if Cordell starts to speak, better know that it's on. He shut you down before you speak to let you know that you're wrong. So get your facts right, homie, before you step in the flames. Because James hates sitting down and listening to lames. And if Danny got $1 for every show that he kills, he'd be a millionaire living up in Beverly Hills. But if Holden wasn't a good guy, you'd probably be dead. Because this dude won't stop until he gets in your head. So turn the volume right up because the game plan is on. The best in sports commentary is right after this song. Peace.
And we're back. Brand new week. The game plan's back. It's your host, Cordell Moody. Alongside with me, as always, I have my man, Eric Alvarado. Eric, how's it going?
All right, man. Listen, I got to tell you, I'm a little under the weather, okay? But the show must go on. I'm going to do my best Jordan flu game impersonation. All right?
That's what I like to hear.
But it's good to be back, guys.
Of course, of course. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was fun. There was a lot of good games.
Absolutely.
A lot of good games. A lot of stuff happening right now.
Of course, and let's get right into it then, since we do have a lot of stuff going on. Let's go into our winners and losers of the week. Who do you have as your winner this week?
Ooh, all right. This was tough because there was a few, but I got to say, one of my winners of the week will be the Buffalo Bills. With their 23-17 win over Atlanta. Last week, with their 26-16 win over Denver, they're looking like a really good football team. Tyrod's playing well. I mean, he's not putting up ridiculous numbers.
No, he's not.
But he's getting the job done. And they got a favorable matchup going into Cincinnati next week. So,
who else
you want another one?
Yeah. Just
I got more.
Roll off your winners. Roll them off.
Oh, I got more. Oh, here they come. Another winner. The Los Angeles, may I say, the Los Angeles Rams. Their 35-30 win over Dallas. And listen, last week you were talking about that Goff Kool-Aid.
I told you about it.
I might have to start sipping on that, man. Honestly. Listen, he went 21 for 36, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. They had a win over San Fran last week. Not that convincing, 41-39. But the win over Dallas, if anybody remembers and everybody was listening last week, I picked Dallas to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Gurley, 23 rushes for 121 yards. Okay, 7 receptions, 94 yards and a touchdown. He is the truth. I'm on that Goff Kool-Aid. Todd Gurley is my player winner of the week.
All right. So I'm taking mine a little off of sports. Now, of course, I'm going to say mine is Deshaun Watson. But I'm not going the sports route for this. For those who do not know, he decided to be, I would say the humanitarian award should go to this guy because he took 3 of his paychecks for the first 3 games, and he decided to give them away to 3 women who work in the cafeteria for the Houston Texans who lost their homes during the hurricane. He gave away 3 checks, each one of them individually, and to me that makes him a winner. That is a good vibe. That tells you how much of a leader you are, how much you care about your community, how thoughtful he is. So that just speaks to his character, and to me that is the biggest winner that I could possibly have. That's why I only have one winner today, and that's it. I'm not going to highlight anything over that because to me that was just great character. I've never seen anybody else do that in the league, give away their check. I've never seen anybody in general give away their check. So to me,
those are nice checks too.
There are, which maybe that's why he gave them away because he knows he has more coming. But at the same time, still to give away those as a rookie too, that's great for him. So
I'd like to think it was more because he's just a good guy.
Yes, absolutely. So
I'm becoming a fan of Deshaun Watson week in.
Absolutely. So who do you have now? Let's get into these losers. Hit me with your losers. Roll them off.
Ooh, I think we have to say New England. New England's definitely
2-2 New England, huh?
The 2-2 New England Patriots. All right, they don't. Tom Brady's gonna be Tom Brady. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that defense is gonna hurt them in the long run. Not to mention, Tom Brady's taking way too many hits. Okay, like I said, he is playing very well. He went 32 for 45 for 307 yards, 2 touchdowns. But They lost to Carolina.
Yeah.
Last week, they barely beat the Houston Texans. The Patriots could easily be 1-3.
They could.
Very easily be a 1-3 team. We're going to give Belichick the benefit of the doubt and the Patriots because they are the Patriots. They usually always figure a way to get things done. But I think right now I'd be a little bit worried about him. That's one of my losers. Another one, maybe it's a little surprising because maybe nobody else had high hopes. I thought the Dolphins would be a lot better team.
Oh, come on.
I thought they would be I really honestly thought they would be a better team than they are. But they get shut out by the New Orleans Saints.
What a defense.
The Saints defense shut out a team. They shut them out. And they only scored 6 points against the Jets last week, the Dolphins. And they can't put up points against the Saints D. Cutler was very Cutler-ish.
Mm-hmm.
He went 20 for 28, 164 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. And I think without the running game, because Ajayi, he had 16 yards last week.
Yep.
46 yards this week. They can't get it going. I don't think it'd be fair to totally rely on Jay Cutler to win you games because that's not going to happen.
Not at all.
Dolphins are definitely a loser this week.
Absolutely. So for me, my loser, and it's heartbreaking to say this, but the Chargers, I feel so bad for the Chargers. They don't have a home. And
They don't have a home.
They are the first homeless NFL team. It is crazy the fact that you can be playing at your stadium that only holds 30,000, I believe, and you can't fill up the stands, and then the people who are there are cheering for the Eagles. That is horrendous, and that is an injustice done by the NFL because you should have just left them in San Diego, and you have them out here now in L.A., and L.A. is basically saying, we don't need you out here. We got better things to do than to watch your games. The fact that it is a college stadium and the fact that for the college games they have a better turnout than for the NFL games, that is crazy.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for every single player who's a part of the Rams the Chargers, because that's something's got to give. They got to change something about that. And I hope that they just bring them back to San Diego. Let them go back. Let everybody be happy because San Diego was at least supporting them more than they're getting supported right now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think it's ever going to happen, unfortunately. And I do feel bad for the Chargers. I really feel bad for Phillip Rivers. I'm a huge Phillip Rivers fan, always been. He's just been stuck in an awful organization, and now he has to deal with this. Man, poor Chargers. Poor Chargers.
Yep, and we'll see exactly what it has in store for us coming up with the Chargers. I hope it gets better, but it's unlikely. Let's just face it. Let's call it what it is. It is what it is. Chargers need help.
And they're 0-4, not to mention.
And they are 0-4. And speaking of 0-4, we have other teams who are 0-4, but I want to talk about the 6 upsets for the NFL. There were 6 upsets this week. What was your best upset going into this week? I know you brought up the Rams, and I know you already brought up the Bills. Who do you have? Is it one of those 2 teams or one of the other upsets that we had this week as your biggest one?
Obviously the Bills is upset over the Falcons. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Bills, this is a team, it looked like they were just blowing the whole team up in the preseason and that they weren't really going to compete for much anything. And I don't know if they're doing themselves justice because I don't know if they can sustain this kind of success throughout the whole season. And they really should be looking for a draft pick, but they look really good. And I think that win over Atlanta says a lot about that team. So I'm going to have to go with Buffalo Bills on the biggest upset. I'm assuming that maybe you're going to lean in the same direction as me.
Well, of course, I would. If I didn't choose the Rams to win their game, then I would have gone with the Rams. But I called it, so that's to me not a big surprise. So I would have to go with the Bills because of the fact that I know nobody was giving them a chance in this game. I watched every report. I listened to every media member, and not one person gave them a chance. And the fans themselves, when they do those polls, it was 95% going towards Atlanta. So it was almost a unanimous thing. Now, I know that the critics are going to say, well, they didn't have Mohamed Sanu, and then they lost Julio Jones in the second half, so they're taking credit away from the Bills. But what you have to also keep in mind is that they did beat Denver, as you already stated, the week before. They shut down Denver, who everybody considers a playoff team. So that was just one, and they were one catch away from beating the Panthers. If that pass is on target, that's a catch, and you're looking at a 4-0 team instead of a 3-1 team. So I think you have to give credit where credit is due. And for those who want to go back and forth about this whole injury thing, the Bills went into it without their starting defensive end in Shaq Lawson. They went into it without their starting left tackle in Cordy Glenn. Then their right corner, E.J. Gaines, gets hurt. Jordan Matthews, their wide receiver, goes out with a broken thumb as well. So there was injuries on both sides. Injuries happen. That's the part of the game. But you can't take credit away from what they did.
Nope.
The Falcons still are a great team. I'm not saying anything negative about the Falcons, but I would say that was a great upset and a prove-it game for them. And I also want to give a little bit of love to the Lions because apparently nobody thought the Lions were going to be doing anything. The Lions were not a team who people thought were going to make noise. I don't understand why, because to me the Lions have always been on the brink of doing something. They just haven't been able to close it out, and this year's quite impressive. So, but I don't want to get too much into the Lions right now. We'll get more into them a little later with our next topics coming up. But to me, the Lions, Bills, Rams, those are three teams who are on the upcoming, giving upsets to everybody because they're the three teams that have consistently been in the lower part of everybody's thoughts,
Right. Well, and I think in the Bills' favor, you have to look at it this perspective. Nobody expected them to do anything this year with the moves they were making in the preseason. Like I said, it looked like they were just blowing it up and they were rebuilding, but they look like a legitimate contender right now. I had a question. Do you think that the Panthers win over New England can be considered? Can we consider that?
That is an upset.
A big upset.
It is.
It is a big upset.
Yes, that's one of the 6 upsets that are out there.
I think so too because I heavily favored the Patriots in that game.
I did not heavily favor them, and the reason why was because of the fact that their defense, the Patriots' defense, has been struggling, and I know that the Panthers' defense is not a team to play with. Now, I definitely didn't think it was going to be that high of score of a game. I'll tell you that much. I didn't think it was going to be toe-to-toe in a shootout-esque type game. I thought it would be closer. I thought that the Panthers would rail Brady and company down just a notch, but obviously they didn't because they're still averaging over 30 points a game. But it's still a good, solid win for the Panthers, and that is obviously one of the upsets that they have going on.
It was in New England, too.
Of course. And
think about it. New England has now dropped 2 games at home, and that does not happen in the Belichick era. They've lost 2 games. In that first week, that brutal beating they took by the Chiefs, that was at home. And now they drop another one to the Panthers at home. Like I said, it looks like the Patriots have a lot to work on right now, and I think it starts on that defensive side of the football.
Yeah, and how do you think they're going to? Because this is the crazy part. They went out, they got Stephon Gilmore, signed him to a big contract. You already had the pieces of a Super Bowl championship defense because obviously you won the Super Bowl. So you go out and you get better, and yet you're not better.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of people thought that they got better as a team, which is hard to do after winning a Super Bowl. Usually you lose some pieces, but the Patriots in the offseason, it was basically a unanimous decision that they got better, and it's not showing. It's weird to watch the Patriots struggle like this.
It really is. And the other team that I want to bring up, because we had this conversation, we had this conversation, which is what makes this funny. The Jags getting upset by the Jets. We had this conversation.
Listen, that's a pick'em game. I don't think there's any upset there.
Oh, no. The way that the Jags were playing, everybody was on the Jags, and the Jags, they what they did to Baltimore, and it's it's crazy how much of a
They're like a
turnaround.
Jekyll and Hyde team,
Yes,
right? They're like a Jekyll and Hyde team.
right.
You never know what to expect from them.
Right, which is why I definitely said that I felt like the Jags were going to jag this up, and I didn't believe in them, and I thought they were going to turn back into the Jags against the Jets, and the Jets were going to beat them because good teams beat the teams they're supposed to. They didn't hold it down. They lost that game. And the other upset of the week would probably, well, actually, not even get into the upset, but the Monday Night Football game. I want to talk about that just a little bit. So the Monday Night Football game, I thought was an excellent game. I thought everybody was looking forward to it. The Redskins versus the Chiefs. What was your takeaway from that?
Listen, I thought it was, first of all, great Monday Night Football game. Two good teams. You have to think, Washington was leading that game for a little while by double digits, and Alex Smith, he never panicked. He made plays when this team needed him to. He made plays on his feet. I believe he had a rushing touchdown on what was it, a read option? Well, either way, he scored a touchdown on his feet. He made plays with his arm when he needed to. The Chiefs are a really good football team. Andy Reid, great coach. His team is always calling the right plays at the right time. They have a great scheme going there. Kareem Hunt, he's a big factor in all of their wins. But I don't want to take much away from Washington either, because although they took this loss, that's a good football team too. That's a real good football team. And how about that play at the end of the game, Moody?
Mm-hmm.
How about that play when they scoop and score on the when they're trying to do the lateral and whatnot? How many teams in fantasy do you think that might have hurt or helped?
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? I think I ran into somebody, a friend of mine today, and he said that he lost by half a point because of that play in his fantasy league. One play.
I wish I could say the same.
And in that kind of play too. Yeah, me too.
I got destroyed in mine, but I wish I could say the same.
I will say I went 0-3 in all my leagues this year. So
wow.
But we're moving on from that.
All right. Well, speaking of moving on, we are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'll get into my take on the Monday Night Football game. So we'll be right back. Don't change that dial. You're listening to WUBA 88.1 FM. And we are back here at the Game Plan with your host, as usual, Cordell Moody. Alongside with me is Eric Alvarado. Eric, we were just talking about this Monday Night Football game that we just had yesterday, and I guess it's my turn to give my take on this game.
Yeah.
So I was thoroughly impressed with this game. Now, I will admit that at the beginning of this season, I was not high on the Redskins, and I've never been too high on the Chiefs for the simple fact that I just don't believe in Alex Smith, because he hasn't done much really as far as impressions, as far as we're talking throwing the ball down the field.
Okay, yeah. Well, I bet you changed your mind now.
I'm changing my mind. He's making me a believer here. So I really enjoyed the game. You know what? I've really enjoyed a lot of these national primetime games this year so far that we've had in this quarter, to be honest. Even going to, the Rams versus the 49ers.
Yeah.
Every game, it seems like these are all good games that are being turned out, which is great.
With the exception of the London games.
Those aren't national. Those are international. So,
okay. Yeah.
So I don't even want to discuss those. But maybe
Fair enough.
Maybe we should stop with those. But no, this game.
Let's just forget about it.
But yeah,
the only people that care about that is Jacksonville.
Yeah,
so.
Yes, Jackson. They're diehard. They truly believe in those games. But this game, it was a really good one, and I thought that both sides, even though obviously one side loses, one side wins, but both sides, I believe, came out better for it, if that makes sense. You saw them both get pushed to their limit, and by being pushed to their limit, of course, one team has to lose and one team has to win. But it shows just how good Redskins actually are, which is actually a surprise because, I didn't think after, you lose both of your wide receivers, you lose Pierre Garçon, you lose Deshaun Jackson. I know not a lot of people thought that they'd have much of a passing attack. You don't know what's going on with Kirk Cousins. Is he staying? Is he going?
Yeah.
What? Nobody knew anything that was going on. So I definitely was down on them. I was sleeping on them. I'm waking up. I'm waking up to them. I'm waking up to the Chiefs. I'm acknowledging the Chiefs as of right now. We still have much more to go. So I'm not going to go all in. I'm drinking more golf Kool-Aid than I am drinking of Kirk Cousins right now. So
Well, right next to that Kool-Aid is a big picture. There's a big picture of that Alex Smith Kool-Aid too. So when you get tired of that golf Kool-Aid, try some of that Smith Kool-Aid 'cause it's just that tasty.
We'll see. We'll see if my taste buds are ready for that. So, but speaking of the fact that I said that I am surprised at the Redskins and what they are doing. There's a lot of surprises this year going on. So, what are some surprises for you that has happened so far in the league?
I mean, we touched on a few of them, but I want to start by first saying I think the biggest surprise for me is that the Jets right now are a 500 football team.
That's your biggest surprise.
Listen, I expected them to not win 2 games or maybe win 2 games max. I mean, they're playing the Browns next week, and that could be a win for them again.
3-2.
Like, I think that obviously the players aren't going to purposely tank. They're always going to try. But I think it might kill the Jets franchise a little bit for them to keep up this winning, because they really need that first pick.
So this is interesting because I was just listening to other people.
Listen, the surprise is that the Jets are 2-2 right now. Okay, That's what's surprising to me.
Right, but I want to touch on your statement you just made too, though, because you said that, and I've heard this already around the media, the fact that the Jets winning is going to destroy them in the future. They shouldn't be winning because they need more talent. And people in the locker room, however, you're hearing reports that they got rid of all the bad character guys, and the characters that they have now, they don't have the talent, but they are building a team. They had talent before, but they didn't have a team, and now they're building a team with less talent, but the production should show. Is essentially what they're saying.
Well, I don't think it's so much that they're building a team with no they just
less talent.
Got rid of. Well, they're just not a talented football team
anymore.
And talent is what they're right now. Yeah. But even last year, with the pieces that they got rid of, they still weren't a talented football team.
Well, see, now I can't agree with that because last year, before the season even started, everybody was high on the Jets. The Jets were going to the playoffs because the year before that, Fitzpatrick brought them 10 wins, and everybody was high on them last year because they had a talented team. And then I don't know what happened. Things went south. Things went bad real quick, and now here we are. Fast forward to now, and they shouldn't be winning games. They should be losing games because they need to get a top 5 pick. They need to get the quarterback for the future, which obviously I'm not sitting here saying that they have their quarterback. Of course, they need a new quarterback to come in here and lead this team. But if they keep on winning, they can always trade up. That's at least my opinion. If they need to, they can always trade up if they want their guy.
They could trade up. I mean, when I say that they need that first pick, that's like the fans' mentality, right? Obviously, nobody in that organization with power wants to this isn't basketball. Teams aren't tanking on purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The Jets, nobody had expectations for them to do well. It was like a consensus that they were going to get that first overall pick for sure, and they were going to grab a quarterback. And now they're winning games, and that first pick is getting further and further away.
And they are.
I'm just surprised that the Jets have 2 wins. All right, maybe you're not as surprised as me. But
what I'm surprised at is the fact that they are number 2 in the AFC East in the division. They are number 2, and the Patriots are number 3. That is the part that shocks me.
All my biggest surprises come from that division. Okay, so now that we're talking about that, another big surprise. Well, go ahead.
Well, because to me, you brought up when you said New York. I thought you were going in a different direction. My biggest surprise is the fact that the Giants are 0-4. The fact that they have the record we thought the Jets would have by this time.
Yeah.
that right? That's
With
exactly.
the games that they've been playing, they could be a 3-1 team.
Mm-hmm.
But bad teams find ways to lose
Lose
games,
games.
and that's what the Giants do.
Right. So the Giants to me right now are no better than I'm sorry to say it, but they're no better than the Chargers. I hate to pick on them right now, but the Chargers and the Giants seem to be in the same place. They're not horrible teams, but they're just teams who don't know how to finish these games. As they have talent. They have the talent. You can't sit here and say they don't. But
They got the talent. They just don't have a line. And interestingly enough, they play the Chargers next week.
so something's got to give, right?
Somebody's getting a win.
The battle is
Somebody's going to win.
the battles of the defeated. We'll see exactly which one of them pull out the win. We'll give our picks about
It'll be a
that.
great game.
Yes, it will. It will be an
It's a
offensive
great
game.
And it'll be. I don't know what type of game it's going to be, but I know that the tempers will be flaring, and it might get a little dirty. Sometimes those defeated games where nobody's got to win and everybody's looking for their first one, sometimes those are the best games
Yeah, and
to watch.
And the part that'll be interesting, I don't want to get too deep into it because we'll talk about it later on, is the fact that I can't even sit here and normally somebody will say, well, who's home? At this point, as we've already brought up, it doesn't matter who's home because there will be more Giants fans at the game if it's in LA than there will be Chargers fans. And that's just the truth of the matter. Who else did you have as a winner for you? I know you had other winners.
Well, not winner. Like
Not winners, surprises.
Right, surprises. But like I said, I was staying in that division, and the Bills being 3-1, leading the division. I mean, like I said, I never expected it to happen. The Bills are a lot better than what I thought they would be. That's a big surprise to me. Wouldn't you agree?
I would say so because of the fact that they gave away Sammy Watkins and Ronald Darby. When that happened, everybody's expectations changed. So I will definitely say that they are a surprise. Now, I'm not as surprised as people are because I knew this defense was going to be the defense that it is. Simply because the fact that this defense went back to what they were before Rex Ryan came in and changed to a 3-4 defense. Before that, they were a 4-3 defense, and they were a top 5 defense. Rex Ryan comes in, changes to a 3-4, personnel doesn't fit, defense too complicated. They go down to like 25th ranked defense. Now Sean McDermott comes back, brings back the 4-3, and all of a sudden here we are again with this type of defense. So I was never surprised about the defense, but I am surprised that the offense is doing as well as it's doing with the weapons that they have. And that's a big kudos to Tyrod Taylor for what he's been doing. A surprise for me. Go ahead.
He's a great quarterback. He's something else.
He is.
There's some plays where it's like he's electrifying sometimes. And like I said, he's not like putting up ridiculous numbers, but he's doing enough to get the wins. Mm-hmm. And Shady's always going to perform.
He is.
So they're looking like they're shaping up to be a good football team.
Yes, and another surprise to me is the fact that the Bengals are as bad as they are. That to me was a surprise because normally they're not this bad. And I can't figure out why they're this bad, but they are. And
yeah.
like there's not much I could say about it, but that. And then Watson, of course, with the Texans, huge surprise to me there as well. The fact that he's playing as well as he is, I thought he would become a great quarterback, but I didn't think he'd be lighting up the scoreboard right now. It's kind of they're saying he's breaking records, and that's true. But he reminds me right now of Cam Newton when he first came out into the NFL league and how he was lighting up the scoreboard as well. So between both of it's looking better and better for them. It makes you wonder why they didn't start him to begin with. But hey, it is what it is at this point because now they're winning games. Their offense is moving, giving their defense some time to get some rest and recover and play their type of game as well.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to jump back to the Bengals real quick.
Of course.
Because you know what? I totally overlooked them, and that is a pretty big surprise. I mean, when you look at all the weapons that they have, they should be a lot better of a football team. I think it had something to do with the offensive coordinator who they did fire, and they did find a new one. They did put up 31 points against the Browns defense, and which a Browns defense that's slightly underrated. They're a pretty stingy defense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that it had something to do with the offensive coordinator. I do believe that the Bengals are going to turn it around. But yeah, I have to agree. I mean, at least for the first 3 weeks of the season, they did not look like the team they should be.
Yeah, and we'll see if they turn things around or not, because with AJ Green there, and I know that they drafted John Ross, and he, the fastest 40 yard dash out there so far. Yeah, so and I thought that the two of them, that 1-2 combo, I thought that would be just nasty. I thought nobody'd be able to keep up with that offense. But Andy Dalton has not looked like Andy Dalton from last year or even the year before that. Maybe it has to do with the offensive coordinator. But it doesn't make sense to me because their offense was good last year. So if you add new pieces, I feel like you should be getting better. So why do they have to fire him? I don't get it. Maybe teams figured out their offense. Maybe that could be the case.
Also, it might be time to think about life after Marvin Lewis.
I think it's already past that time that we should have been thinking about that. At this point,
I mean, all these years and you haven't gotten a playoff win?
Exactly.
That's
I'm with
a little
you.
bit unacceptable. I got to be honest.
It's like they are content with the fact that at least they're making the playoffs. That has always been their thing. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, you cannot tell me that you are going to keep Marvin Lewis. You cannot justify keeping him if you guys miss. And I'll be honest with you, they're going to miss it. I don't see a way that they're even – I know that it's too early, but I don't think they're going to. You have your own division, right? You have Baltimore and you have the Steelers. All right.
Yep.
Then if you go out to the AFC West, if we'll talk about the Raiders, but you have the Raiders, you have the Chiefs, and you have Denver. You go to the East, you have Buffalo and New England. And then you go to the South and you have the Titans who, the Titans will try and fight their way for a wild card spot.
And the Texans.
Right. So I don't see room for the Bengals playing if they continue to play that the way that they're doing right now.
And make the playoffs.
And make the playoffs. There's
no way.
I
don't see it happening either. I do think they will turn it around. I think it might be a little too late. Who knows? I mean, we're only a quarter of the way through the season. But I think you're right. Given the division they're in, I don't see them gaining any ground on those teams. And I don't see them making the playoffs either.
Absolutely. And we will pause it right here. We will be right back. Everybody keep on tuning in to WUBA 88.1 FM with my man, Eric Alvarado. Me, your host, Cordell Moody. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back. We are here for the game plan. Your host, Cordell Moody, alongside with me, got my man, Eric Alvarado. We were just getting into a little heated debate about all these different things that are going on in the NFL. But one of the biggest things that's going on that we have not touched yet, that we're about to get into right now for all of you, is the injuries. And these injuries are brutal.
They're stacking up.
They're every week. And, obviously this is NFL. This is football. Of course, injuries are part of the game. We all get that. But some of these teams, the pieces that they're missing these are like blockbuster pieces that are going.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how they're happening simultaneously. It's not like 1 week it's one guy and the next week it is within the 1 o'clock games. There are injuries that can cost you your entire season that are happening.
And they're happening in bunches, like you said.
Yeah. So Eric, tell me, what's the biggest injury you've got? What injury do you think stands out the biggest for you?
Man, I think the biggest, honestly, I'm going to have to go with Derek Carr. And I know that it's not a season-ending injury. He's dealing with they said it was a transverse fracture in his back. And they gave a timetable from 2 to 6 weeks, which is that's a kind of big gap. I think usually anything dealing with the back, you're usually going to lean towards more of the 6 weeks being out. And if that happens to the Oakland Raiders, a contender, everybody had them penciled in as a contender. If you lose Derek Carr for 6 weeks right now, I think that really hurts the team. I mean, how do you feel like the Raiders would do without Derek Carr?
See,
I mean, they got EJ Manuel as their backup.
and I was gonna get right. Oh, I was gonna get into
Ooh,
him.
man.
Don't even get me started. But
Talk about it.
listen. So here's the problem. We already knew what the Raiders are like without Derek Carr. Reason being, last year playoffs, we saw the fiasco that ended up being
Yeah.
with the Raiders. So they go out, they get EJ Manuel, thinking he's an upgrade. I could have told you he wasn't, but hey, do what you want to do.
You know. You know better.
Yeah. So I've seen him play. He's not the guy. I know he was picked 16 overall in his draft, but nobody in that draft, as far as quarterbacks, are good, and that's just the facts. And the fact that they have to deal with using EJ Manuel for 2 to 6 weeks for a back injury that is very similar to Tony Romo's back injuries. I want to point that out too. And you saw the toll that it took on Romo.
On Romo.
Right. So
Yeah.
you have to
He was never
wonder.
the same.
You have to wonder if when Derek Carr comes back, is he even going to be Derek Carr or not? The fact that this offense was already struggling before Derek Carr got hurt. Now you put in EJ Manuel. It's not like Marshawn Lynch is running around now. I think it's pretty hilarious as Derek Carr went out. You start seeing tweets, and like the Raiders right now have the Buffalo Bills backfield of old. Marshawn Lynch and EJ Manuel.
You know, I never thought about that. That's so funny.
Yeah, I started dying laughing, and I was like, I couldn't believe it, and I just sat here and I was like, man, that is rough because Marshawn Lynch isn't beast mode like he used to be. You know, he's out there,
No.
he's being as productive as he can, but he's not lighting it up like he used to. And Crabtree's out, and this is so crucial because you have the Denver Broncos who have the no-fly zone. You know, their offense, sorry, not their offense, their defense is playing extremely well, but not just in the passing game. Everybody's already bringing up what they've done in the running game because they have taken out some of the top running backs in the league and held them to less than 100 yards. And we're talking we're talking about LaShawn McCoy. We're talking about Ezekiel Elliott.
Big time players.
We are talking huge players who led the league last year. First of all, the Bills and the Cowboys 1 and 2 in rushing last year, leading the league, and you shut them both down.
Yeah.
And they don't have together the combined the two of them don't even have 80 yards.
Ooh.
Crazy. So you have,
the Broncos defense is for real.
right.
Yeah.
So you have the Broncos defense. How is EJ Manuel going to compete against that when time comes?
He's not.
Right.
He's not. We all know that he's not.
Yeah, and then
You know, the best they could do is try, just to squeeze a couple wins. But like you said, it is a back injury, and you don't want to rush back from that because you can make things worse for the long haul. And, you know, Oakland is going to play Baltimore next week.
Mm-hmm.
A very tough Baltimore defense. EJ Manuel may struggle. Probably will struggle. The game is in Oakland, but that's a tough game. And they already got the Chiefs and the Broncos, like you said, in that division. In 2 weeks, they will play the Chargers at home, so maybe they can get a division win out of that. But everything is a crapshoot now for the Raiders with EJ Manuel, you know, with the reins. You know, if Carr misses 6 weeks, I'd almost be willing to pencil the Raiders out of the playoffs.
I agree with you. This is a season-ending injury. When I say season-ending, I'm not talking about Derek Carr being out for the season. I'm talking about their season is over as far as the Raiders organization. If he is out for 6 weeks, if he is out for 2 weeks, we could have a discussion about a wild card possibly. The reason there are a lot of people who are high thinking that 3 teams out of the AFC West are going to go to playoffs. I mean,
it's a good.
high on that.
You're not on that.
I'm not on that wagon.
I mean, it's a possibility. It's a great. I mean, that's a good division.
In order for that to happen, that means that only one team comes out of the North and one team comes out of the East, and that doesn't look like it'll be the case. I feel like two teams will come out of either the North or 2 teams will come out of the East. And there will be 2 teams who come out of the West. But you cannot tell me that 3 teams are coming out of the West. I'm just not buying it. They will beat up on each other, and then they will get beat up on by some other AFC opponents, and one of them will be short. They will fall short. And especially now with Carr, being out, they will be the team that falls short.
That hurts. Yeah, the car injury, that hurts. And that wasn't the only injury. If you weren't paying attention this weekend, can we move on?
Yeah,
Listen,
go for it.
Dalvin Cook, torn ACL, out for the season. Possible offensive rookie of the year. That hurts Minnesota big time. Big time. The big play, the big plays that Dalvin Cook can give you, Latavius Murray will not be able to give you that. They will not be able to give you that. That's a big loss to the Minnesota Vikings. I almost put that one above Derek Carr. But given the circumstances that the Raiders are in, I thought that, Derek Carr's injury is more profound.
Well, the reason why I wouldn't put it above is because I do not see the NFC as stiff as far as competition goes for the playoffs. Now, when we
that division though.
That division,
that's a tough division too.
You're talking about, yes, we're talking Lions, we're talking
the
Packers.
NFC North.
Yeah,
we're talking Lions, we're talking Packers. Talking the Bears.
No, we're not
really.
talking the Bears.
We're not going to talk about the Bears. But
we may touch on them a little later.
Division.
But yeah, so you have the NFC North, and then you go to the NFC South, and you have, the Bucs aren't playing as well as I thought they would play. The Falcons are still the Falcons, but I'm not buying into the Panthers right now. You go to the NFC West, and that's where we're talking Rams, we're talking Seattle, and then the Cardinals aren't who we thought they would be. So
I think they're going to turn it around though.
Well,
just a little.
And then
a little slip of
and you have the East.
Opinion.
You have the NFC East, and we got the Giants. You got the Redskins. You got Eagles. And I am missing a team. Oh, and you have the Cowboys. My fault, Cowboys, for slipping my mind. So I don't see it as stiff of a competition because the NFC East will beat up on the NFC East. So that's one reason why I don't see it as hugely stiff. But on top of that, I know that they have a passing game. They do have a passing game. So it all depends on if Bradford will come back. Will Sam Bradford be back or not? Case Keenum, he's holding his own as well as he can, but Bradford needs to bring his behind back and do something for this team because they need him now. At this point, they need him. And this is just wishful thinking, maybe because this guy went to my alma mater, but I would love to see Jerick McKinnon come out here and light it up. I watched him all throughout college at Georgia Southern. I called his games at Georgia Southern. So I would love to see him play well out here with the Vikings. He didn't have that great of a season last year, which is why they went out and got Cook, of course. So now it's his time to shine, if any. Next man up, they have to have that routine. And if they are going to be a true competitor in this league, then you know that you have to overcome injuries. And these are the type of injuries that happen. And the Vikings, by the way, they are no strangers to running backs being out for the season.
Oh, no, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not.
So they should be used to it. They should be able to handle this.
Yeah, and going back to your point about Jerick McKinnon, it looks like right now Latavius Murray is probably going to get the majority of the carries, but I don't think it's far-fetched to believe that once they see that Latavius Murray isn't going to give them the play that they're desiring, Jerick McKinnon will get his chance again.
He's going to get his chance mostly in the passing game. That's where I see in the screen game, short yardage passes. That's where they'll use McKinnon for right now. They'll use Murray, more of your downhill runner. It'll be a change
between
of
the
pace.
tackles.
Yeah. It'll be a change of pace between the two of them. But that, of course, those are still not the only injuries that we have going on.
No.
We also have Josh Norman, who goes out as well with a rib injury. Now, you tell me, how big of an injury do you really think that is? Because some people, believe it or not, some people sleep on Josh Norman. They don't think he's as good as they say he is because for the most part, he's just been a cover 3 corner. It's not like he's not like the do-it-all type corner. What are you thinking?
I think whoever says that he's not the do-it-all corner is sadly mistaken because he has the ability to lock down a defender and just take away that side of the field. He is a great cornerback, arguably the best cornerback in the league right now. I think losing him, it's debatable.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We can have that debate another time. Listen, losing Josh Norman's going to really hurt that team. I do know that there was no timetable for his injury. They don't know when he's going to be back. I do believe they said it was a fractured rib. I don't know how serious it is, but there is no doubt in my mind that losing Josh Norman will hurt that defense.
I believe that it will hurt that defense because of the fact that they did bring in Josh Norman last year to help the defense, obviously, and that was their big blockbuster free agent signing that they made, and it was supposed to take them places. And now that he's out, they've kind of degressed back to what they were before he got there. So it puts more pressure now on Kirk Cousins in that offense to pick up the pace for him. And these rib injuries, they're not. It's nothing to he he about because it's hard. You can't really breathe that well, and obviously if you're going to be running, that means you're going to be breathing a lot, and you can't really sleep that well. It's going to be really uncomfortable. We're going to see exactly how long it takes for him to come back when we get that estimated time from him, and it'll really be up to how much tolerance he has.
The pain tolerance. I'm sure that's what it's going to come down to. If it'll just come down to a factor of whether or not he can deal with the pain. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it will hinder his performance throughout the season. Yep. But like I said, if he misses any substantial amount of time, that's really going to hurt that defense.
Yeah. And to get to the last blockbuster injury that we have going on, which to me, I thought this was ironic. And the reason I thought this was ironic because we saw this last year. We did. This is what we saw last year. Last year, we saw Derek Carr and Mariota get hurt in the same week. And here we are again. I
believe it was Christmas Eve.
Yes, and here we are again. And Mariota and Derek Carr both get hurt the same week on the same day. Tell me a little bit about this Mariota injury. What are you hearing? What's going on?
Well, I'm hearing that he might not miss any games. So, in theory, this injury might not be that detrimental to the Titans team. But it is a hamstring injury. And I'm sure you've dealt with a hamstring injury just like me. Those are tough. Who knows the severity of it? And hamstrings are a type of injury that you don't want to rush back because Go ahead.
And it's even more concerning because of who has the hamstring injury. If we're talking Tom Brady, Eli, somebody like that with a hamstring injury, okay, we can deal with this. But you're talking about Mariota, who likes to be mobile. He likes to be on the move. Get him out of the pocket, let him run around, scramble around. So this hamstring now is going to handicap him and make him have to be in the pocket and stay in the pocket, which we don't normally see. We like to see him be elusive, and that's gonna mess up his game, which means that puts pressure on the offensive linemen. The offense has to hold their blocks a little longer because he can't bail them out by scrambling around with this hamstring injury. So it's going to put pressure on them. We're going to see exactly where they go from here with this hamstring. Hopefully he stays healthy. And because if he goes down, this is the I believe this is the Texans' division to lose. If he goes down, this is my personal opinion. I think the Texans get this division. So what do you think? What are you thinking?
I think you're right that if Mariota goes down for any amount of time, or even regardless of Mariota, I have this feeling that this is the Texans' division to lose. I'm a little bit more on the Texans bandwagon than I am the Titans right now, and that might be because I have a man crush on Deshaun Watson right now. But the hamstring. Going back to that, it's gonna be effective, and it's gonna affect his game. Like you said, he's not gonna be able to scramble. It's gonna hurt the team. But let's not be too alarmed because he might not miss any games. You just don't want to rush back from something. I'm not sure who they play next week, but maybe they could squeeze out a win without Mariota. Give him a week to recoup from that injury. They play Miami.
Right. Well, in Miami. They may be able to. They may be able to because
and they might look at it that way.
But at the same time, their defense. I don't mean to go too long into this, but their defense, their secondary was god awful in this last game.
Ooh, yeah.
They got burned, and if there was a game for Miami to find their offense, this could be that game. We'll obviously dive more into this later on in the week when we do give you previews for this game. So we are going to leave it right there. We will be back. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the fact that this is the quarter of the NFL season, and we have awards to give out. So we'll be back. Tune in. WUBA 88.1 FM. Me, Cordell Moody, Eric Alvarado, my man over here. We'll be back.
Yes, sir.
Stay tuned. And we are back. We're bringing you guys all the sports heat that we have going on for you. And we're not done. We still got more coming for you guys. If you thought it was over, well, now you know better, because we got a lot more action coming at you guys in these last couple of minutes. So we're going to get right into it for you guys. We want to talk to you guys about what is going on with these quarters that we have left. Not these quarters that we have left. My apologies. The quarter that we have just finished. So we have a lot of awards that we want to give out. But the first thing, we're a quarter way through. Best team in football, Chiefs or somebody else?
I'm going with the Chiefs. I mean, I think it's kind of hard to pick against them right now. I don't know of any other. I mean, yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs. I mean, they got wins over New England. They got a win over Philly, the Chargers, Washington last night. I just think that they're just playing a step above everybody else, and I'd be hard pressed to give this award to some other team, because the Chiefs have really earned it.
See, and I'm with you, but the issue that a lot of people apparently have is the fact that the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Like that's the issue. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. So people will go to the Falcons instead, because the Falcons made it to the Super Bowl last year. So we're going to go with the Falcons because of the history that the Falcons have. Or no. Just because the Patriots are 2-2, and because even though the Patriots lost to the Chiefs, the Patriots are the Patriots. They'll turn it around. The thing that people are not understanding is we are talking right now. We're not talking about down the road. We're not talking about last year. We're talking about who is the best team at the quarter right now. And nobody is playing hotter than the Chiefs. And
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and you have to give a lot of credit to Alex Smith and the fact that, from what I've heard, he put in a lot of work training in the offseason, best shape of his life. I saw him training underwater. Yeah. Underwater. I saw him. He had a weight in his hand. He's underwater snorkeling, and he's training, running. Like, that is true commitment. I think that has a little bit to do with Patrick Mahomes, if I'm being honest with you.
You might be right, and I was going to say that. But he is playing like a man possessed right now.
He is.
I mean, Alex Smith isn't playing like the Alex Smith of old. Like, he's not looking at these little 5-yard dunk downs, like, and little, out route. Like, he's throwing the ball downfield, and I think that is due to the fact that he's got a really solid running game right now. He's got weapons on the outside that he can throw to, and he's able to get the ball downfield more often. You're right, man. This team is something to talk about, because they're for real. And this award goes to right now.
Right now, exactly.
I don't care about the Patriots. I don't care about the Falcons. You know what I'm saying? I'm about the Chiefs. I told you about that Alex Smith Kool-Aid.
Well, see, and here's the interesting thing. The last time I saw Alex Smith play this well was when Colin Kaepernick was behind him. That was the last time I saw him play this well, was when he was trying to prove everybody wrong, and he was going into the playoffs, and he was putting it out there on the line, and then he gets hurt. Colin Kaepernick eventually takes over, and it's history from there. But clearly he plays a lot better when his back is against the wall, and he's showing everybody that he has it. Now, my thing is, because they've already had reports coming out for next year, even though I know we're talking about right now, but for next year, there's already reports that the Chiefs are listening to trades if they want Alex Smith next season. But they won't obviously make any trades until this season is over, but they are entertaining it apparently. But still, as of right now, Chiefs, you got it. You guys have been balling, and I want you guys to keep balling. And I want you guys to keep on balling. But there are a lot of other teams who are balling right now. We have a couple of 3-1 teams right now that it's surprising. But I want to talk about which 3-1 teams do you think are for real, and which 3-1 teams do you think by the end of the season will fall short? Hit me.
Well, I'm going to start by saying a for real 3-1 team, a real contender, I'm starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers
Of course.
with a very impressive win over the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Hot rivalry. They have a very balanced team. Le'Veon Bell's finally starting to play like Le'Veon Bell. That not even just the run defense, but that defense as a whole, I believe they're in the top 5 for all major statistics on defense.
Mm-hmm.
They have a very balanced team, and I think that's a team that everybody's got to look out for in the AFC.
All right. Well, just to give our fans a cue on who is 3-1 so far. We have
Right.
the Rams, who are 3-1. We have the Carolina Panthers. We have the Atlanta Falcons. We have the Detroit Lions. We have the Green Bay Packers. We have the Philadelphia Eagles. We have Denver Broncos. And we have the Pittsburgh Steelers and Buffalo Bills. Those are your
Right.
3-1 teams. Now, of the 3-1 teams who I think is for real, obviously you have to go with Pittsburgh. So, but you already said it, so I'll go to the next team that I think is for real. And I'm going to say the Detroit Lions. I think the Detroit Lions are for real. I think the Detroit Lions are going to go to the playoffs. There are a lot of people who are down on them because they were the team once upon a time to go 0-16. I don't care about that. I'm talking about what have you done for me lately? And what they've done for me lately is they have impressed offensively and defensively. They're not just lighting up the scoreboard. They're able to bring it in defensively. They're not lighting it up on defense either by any means, like destroying.
By no means.
Yes, but they are doing enough so that their offense can do what they do best. They're getting the ball back for them so they can do what they do best. And that's all you can ask for them to do as of right now, because their identity is not a hard-nosed defensive team. That is not their identity at all. But Matt Stafford, a lot of people still, I believe, sleep on him. I feel like people think Andrew Luck is better than Matt Stafford, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but I don't think that's the case. I think Matt Stafford is at least top 7, at least for me. If I went down a quick list, you get your Brady, your Rodgers, your Matt Ryan.
Are you would you put Alex Smith over Matt Stafford right now?
No, I would not,
Okay.
and that is because
Right now, though.
I can't. With this is no. I still wouldn't right now. I still wouldn't right now. And that's because, and that's the only reason I'm saying that winning is a different ball game. When we're talking about winning, and the conversation we just had a second ago, that is a team effort. Now, if we're comparing just the quarterbacks themselves, Matt Stafford is doing what Matt Stafford has always done. That's what it is. Now, the wins and losses, that comes with the rest of the team. But Matt Stafford is doing what he always does. You are now seeing Alex Smith do what Matt Stafford already does, which is why I give it to Matt Stafford.
Okay, well, I could not disagree more. I actually have the Lions as pretenders.
Ooh.
Yeah. Listen, you're talking about what they've always done. The Lions always, or to me, they're known for giving you a hot start of the season, and then they crumble. And that's exactly what I see them doing now. That defense is no bueno, and I don't see them going anywhere. To me, the Detroit Lions are pretenders.
All right. You know what? We're gonna get more into this tomorrow. We will get more into this tomorrow. We are running out of time, but we're gonna argue about this. If anybody is interested in this is going to be an argument tomorrow, and I can promise you that we may actually just start off.
And I will win this argument.
We will start off tomorrow's show with this. But hey, thank you all for listening. It's been a great show. It's always fun having Eric with me. Me and him love doing the show for you guys. We're happy to be back. But before we go, just our final thoughts, just to get off sports a little bit. We wanted to distract you guys, but of course we want to give our thoughts and prayers out there to Las Vegas for the losses. It's hard to believe the fact that it keeps on happening, the fact that these shootings keep happening. Something has to give, but we do want to give our thoughts and prayers out there. I also want to give a lot of props to the NFL and to the Raiders organization for donating $50,000 apiece to help support those who have either been affected personally or directly or indirectly by this. So we just want to give our thoughts and prayers. You have any last words you want to say about it?
Just to piggyback off of that, our thoughts and our prayers are with the families and friends of the victims. from Las Vegas. It's a total shame that these type of things happen and that there's these type of people in our world today. But we will stand united as a country, right, Moody?
Absolutely, man. That's exactly what we have to do, and we're gonna stand united here too on WUBA 88.1 FM. So that will do it for us. We enjoyed having you guys here. Till tomorrow, like I said, we will be back 8 to 9 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. If there is not football on the weekday going on, then you can tune in right here, and we'll give you all the football you need. The Game Plan. Cordell Moody, Eric Alvarado. Till
Peace.
tomorrow.